Alright, so what I'm going to do today is I am going to set up Pkgsrc in Haiku, and I'm going to see how far it takes me. I'm also going to, every once in a while, glimpse over here to a VirtualBox installation of NetBSD that I have here that is installing a KDE3 meta package that I started last night, and I've had only one error, and that is to say I was willing to accept a license. Alright, so let's go over here to Haiku, and what I did is I downloaded the nightly build from today. Today's July 24th, 2014, assuming that was built last night. And I have in my settings here, I'm just going to attach the CD that I've downloaded, and I'm going to go ahead and start and run the install. So what I propose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it. This is going to be like a diary. So what I'm going to do is, in addition to explaining how I don't have much experience, which I will definitely explain that I don't have a lot of experience with porting apps, I'm also going to just go into things that, just go ahead and talk about, but I am an intermediate computer user, so I'm going to talk about basically how difficult it may or may not be for an end user such as me to pitch in and help the operating system get to where it is. I'm going to bring up things that I think are holding it back. I'm going to get on video what I think are problems with some of the choices that have been made, and how some of the solutions that have come up really haven't done much. Now, the first thing you can do actually with this is Haiku's got a very good, of course I'm in VirtualBox, but it does have a, for an alpha, a very good window manager. So I'm going to go, first thing I'm going to do is go over to Preferences. I'm going to do this step by step. So Preferences, Screen, and I'm just going to see how big this will let me take it. That's it, it does pretty good. Alright, it doesn't take up the whole screen, but whatever, I'm not picky. I could live with a screen that's this big. Alright, so now let's go over to, I've got a huge pile of notes here because I have tons of time on my hands. So I'm going to start out with just the first set of things I like to set up and do quickly so I could operate quickly after that. And then as things arise, I will point things out because there's too many things to point out. I could sit here rambling for hours about things. And I have so many pieces of paper. Tons of paper. Okay, let's see. Now, just because I'm okay, right, so and I knew I was gonna be really organized here. Okay, HaikuOS settings configuration. Here we go. Alright, so I've written some of these things down. Let's see what I was talking about. Okay, first thing I would like to do is go into Web Positive and set my home page to google.com. Why do I like to do that? Well, because since Haiku is, you're going to be dealing with some issues that people haven't dealt with in a long time, and it's just a matter of time before you have to go in here. So you go into Windows settings, and you just change start page to www.google.com. .com. Hopefully that won't have a problem with it, but we'll find out. Hopefully it doesn't need the HTTP. It doesn't. Okay, so there we are. There's Google. Next thing I like to do is go into the windowing area, because I don't need a million windows like this stuff. Don't need that. and then you have like 50. There's gonna be a lot of window. I'm gonna be doing a lot of window changing, so don't need all that stuff. You know, this and this, and oh, it's not there. It's over here. Oh wait, over here. Okay, well, maybe it's on desktop, or maybe it's in mail. Maybe it's in draft. You know, and you get all these. It's like, come on. The way you deal with that is go to preferences here, Windows, bam, 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 and that's it. And there's no real apply button, it just applies. You just close it. Right, so now, see, okay, there may be just a couple times I might want to have more than one window open, but I certainly don't need 10. All right, so the next thing I want to do is set up my printer, because I've got to print sometimes, and the printing works pretty good, at least being able to set it up. The problem is you have to experiment and figure out just what of the generic print drivers will work for you. I'm going to use my Canon, which I've only been able to get PostScript to work, and it shows up. It actually shows up on the list. So I'll add that. Yes, I'll go ahead and make it the default printer, highlight it, print the test page, and then it wants me to set up the definitions of it. It's a little bit backwards, but thus is the way it is. Say OK. OK, print test page is going to come out. And just so you know what it looks like, I've done it before, there it is. OK. Now the last thing is the most important part. It's not critical, but I think it's makes things very, very much easier. So let's set up a bash alias. So how do we do that? Go into Home and right-click, select New, and make a new text file and call it .profile. Of course, that isn't a hidden file, but bash looks for hidden files, so that's why we have the dot. Now there's a couple things that I want to do. First of all, I'm going to end up having some aliases here. And the latest one that I have is actually here on the floor. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I could have saved this, but I want to do it just like any other person would do it when they are first going. Now, what is an alias? An alias basically means instead of typing some big long thing, you just type something short, press enter, and it does the same thing as the big long thing you would have had to type. So instead of having to type boot, home, package, bin, make constantly, you just have to type bmake, which is actually supposed to be bmake. Okay, now I'm going to highlight this, which is the good thing about a mix. Now, the one strange thing about Haiku is that just to make things a little more difficult for you, you have to press Alt-V to paste. So next one's going to be, this is going to be package info. Type it, doesn't matter. I'll copy that again with an Alt-C instead of a Control-V, just to give you a chance to screw that up. And I have PLG info. That's not going to work. It's got to be package info. All right, and down here, I'm going to make it package delete. And because I don't want to have a plug in there, Alt-C, and Alt-V. Okay, and then we got package ADM. There may be in one step we're going to have to take. We're going to have to actually rebuild the database because we're going to have to do a really ugly hack to be able to move on to some better packages. But it may lead to some good things. Then I'm going to have two other aliases. I'm going to call this Go. And what I'm going to be doing here with Go is I'm going to be changing directories to boot, home, package source, Pkgsrc, and with the do is gonna be. Now, if you didn't see the first video and you're wondering why I'm typing do all the time, sorry. Okay, so we got boot, package, bin, bmake. Now this is where these things are going to install. Are going to land. So I'm going to save this file. Save. It's just a text file. And I'm done with my basic stuff, and now I want to set up package source. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to do it the easy way, but most new users, it's going to seem like the hard way, but just do it. Step number one is to go ahead and type wget in the terminal. What's a terminal? I'll show you what a terminal is. And I'll also show you how those aliases work, because you're going to be working in the terminal a lot. You can't just... Right now, what I'm doing is we're making packages out of source code. So if I say bmake, it'll tell me no file or directory found. There, see? It turns bmake into something else. All right, so let's get package source. We'll get ftp.netbsd.org pub Pkgsrc stable Pkgsrc.tar.gz, and we're downloading. And I have a reasonably fast connection, so that shouldn't take too long. The next step could take a little bit longer than you'd want. Well, we don't have to do it with the command line anymore. And in fact, you can go to the same website, and you can use your browser to go to ftp.netbsd.org. Know that it'll download. You don't have to do it that way. I just, you're going to be using the terminal a lot, so get used to it. All right. Next step is the secret to the whole thing is you to make a new folder called package source. And you move this sucker in here. Now, I had actually made a script that I have destroyed. But I'll just leave it at that. So it goes file paste, there it is. Then we use this expander. Actually, just double click on it. Go ahead and expand. So it's going to end up, you're going to have, and if you don't make this package source directory, the Bootstrap won't work. So do what you want to do, but that's why I got two packages together. Okay, this will take a little bit of time. As you can see, it starts populating. Now, how does package source work? Package source has a lot of packages that are available. Some are already installed on your base system. Some are already available through Haikuporter. I'll tell you right now, I've barely gotten to the point where there's anything that I'm able to install here with package source that is not already available with Haikuporter or Haikuporter. But that's not to say that it won't end up turning up that way. That's not a prediction. I don't necessarily think that any one method is going to be better than the other to get, what you want installed inside Haiku. Now, the only reason why you would do this at all is to try to make packages for other people to use. There's absolutely no reason to go through this whole thing for packages that are already compiled and available through Haikuporter, because that works beautifully. Let me show you what Haikuporter is. It's the new package manager. It wasn't with the B, so you wouldn't be familiar with this. Actually, it's called Haiku Depot, but Haikuporter is a methodology of porting things over to the depot. And it works pretty much like the Ubuntu Software Center. And so you can, hey, here's Ale, so you can install that, just to demonstrate how quickly this works and how nicely it works. And you're done. Alright, so now I'm going to, while this is still expanding, which will take a little while, I'm also going to show you one other thing. This will be tremendously important. And for some reason, the developers thought if they made something that had 3 lines of code that used the env command, that somehow this problem would be overcome, but it's not. So if I try to create a user directory here, did that actually stay? Oh my god. Oh, this is, oh. Well, I've been having a lot of problems. Well, let's see if I can make a file in there. If I could actually put a text file in there and have it survive. My god. No, that's boot user. Okay, so it's this, okay, they made a symlink. That's good. Okay, so I think I'm going to not have the problems I was having yesterday, because my god. The fact I wasn't able to get, no, that's boot. How about up here? No, I can't make, can I make a folder here? Whoa. It's still there? Doesn't really seem to want to do that. It's going to be extraordinarily important to have that work. If it doesn't work, forget it. It's game over. Alright, well, it seems like it's, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get into that user. So now it seems like everything's broken. What's going on here? It's going to be extraordinarily important. There are some programs that actually have user local embedded in it, in the program. You know, if you can't have a user folder in here, then you have to go through hundreds of files and dig out the user local out of it and replace it with something else. And it makes it very difficult. Are we done expanding? Now, there is a system called Haikuports, and they have what are called recipes. And let me try to explain what goes on here, because it's not going to be easily understandable from the start. So, now there's programs out there they have their source code available, but just because the source code will compile in Linux or OS X or something like that doesn't mean it's going to compile in Haiku without some kind of modification. Most of the modifications are very minor. This is called porting apps over. There is something called automake, and there's something called configure They're basically two tools that try to guess what kind of system you're on and configure the make files in some kind of way that lets them compile. Okay. But sometimes the code really isn't written to be able to be used inside the operating system. So some changes need to be made sometime, or most of the time, to deal with the fact that, you know, every operating system has some room, some reasonable room to do things its own way. One would think, even on the innards, and we're talking about the inside, the innards of this operating system. And we're still expanding. It's a huge archive. Now, if I would have used the command line, it would have been quicker, but whatever. So now we're down to print security. It goes down to utilities. Let me see how this picture's coming out. And there's an NetBSD. It's still going. And so I'm not going to get to the next step of bootstrapping because, well, we're not there yet. Alright, so this seems to be fairly large. Okay. Not bad. Hall of Mirrors. Hello. Okay, so still going. Maybe let's keep it like this so I can check once in a while. Now it's doing shells and sysutils. These are all the different basic categories of packages, and I'll show you what you need to do once I get this thing bootstrapped to actually start installing programs. And are we done yet? No, we're not. It's still populating in here. Come on. So, eventually it'll get down to Z, then we'll try the next thing. So the way Haiku's doing it right now is they're having people over time, they've downloaded source code and they've tried to compile it, and then they've tried to figure out what it was that was stopping the program from compiling, and then made changes to the source code and then posted their patches up at a place called Haikuports.org. Over time, it's evolved and they've created what are called recipes, and the changes to the source code are called patches. And someone's made a Python program, and it's somewhat integrated into this Haiku Depot program. And so theoretically, if you use the recipe that's provided by Haiku Ports, you can compile the package if you follow the recipe and follow their. In fact, you know, while I'm waiting, I might as well just do that. So it's getting really annoying because I have to keep switching out of this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go back. Now, the reason why I'm not looking up how to do this stuff, might as well. Let's go in here and do this. You'll see. Okay, so applications. I got web positive here. Let's just go with Haikuports. This is a different methodology. This is an alternative to package source. Alright, so the first thing to know is that Git does come with a program. So highlight this, copy it, open up another terminal because I'm fancy like that, and go edit and paste and press enter and let it do its magic. Now, when you first open the terminal, it actually places you in the home directory. So it's called cloning. So it gets all the stuff. There it goes. It's reasonably fast. Now, where it says for those with commit access, if you don't know what that means, you probably don't have commit access, so don't worry about it. It's going to take a little bit of time here. Okay, so let's resolve the delta and check the connectivity and check out the files. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight this to get ready. Now, why am I doing this? I just want to show how this stuff works. Okay, so paste, get that. Now, I could be having some issues because there's just confusion. Some of the things might only work inside of. Now, this right here, this is abbreviated. This could use some help actually. This is, you actually want to copy it from boot home Haikuports, and there's another directory. I gotta remember what that is. Okay, so we got that. So they want us to, if I were to use the copy command, it would say, oh, let's just do this. So this one you can't copy and see success right here. At least I don't think so. Cannot stat Haikuports. Okay, and where is that thing? That thing is actually, I think it's under example. Oh, and it's confusing because we have Haikuporter, but I think it's right in here. Or is it? Now, Haikuporter is written in Python. No, it's not there. Is it right here? There it is. So I want to highlight this file. Let's see, copy. Let's go up. Where did they say to put that thing? Go back here to web positive. They said to put it into boot home config settings. So let's go here to boot home config settings and just paste it, file and paste. All right, next set of instructions also is a little bit off, but you don't have to use LPE. And the settings are reasonably simple. Just double click on it, and I am gonna allow for untested and bad unsafe sources. Of course, I want all the malware. I want to compile all the malware on my disk. And my target architecture, I'm just gonna stick with the default. The defaults to the current primary platform. So that actually allows someone, if they wanted to, if they're running in GCC4, they can still compile for GCC2. Haiku has, in the official ones, they have both GCC4 and GCC2 compiling mechanisms. Now, to tell you the truth, because I've done this before, and still it seems like I'm very slow here, I didn't notice any differences with the problems I was running into getting source code compiled for Haiku. It's not impossible, I'm just saying, and the problems are a natural course of things. But I didn't see any difference between GCC4 and 2, and I've done both. Okay, so let's go make sure that's saved, close it up. Let's see how Expander is doing. Now, if Expander has disappeared, and it appears to have disappeared, I could actually go back to package source, but I do want to finish this demonstration out. Okay, so I've changed the settings, and now I'm just gonna make this symbolic link. So basically, if I compile anything, it's gonna allow me to run the program without having to type the whole thing like I'm going to do. I'm leaving package source unpathed. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. If you know what a path is, good for you, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Okay, so I'm actually done with that. Now, the way Haikuporter works is first you got to figure out what's actually available. And the way to do that is not to guess, but to actually, you can go in your home directory. Porter reports, I think. Yeah, these are the recipes in here. So package source would be very similar. Let's say I wanted to use, I don't know, a spell. So here's a recipe for a spell. Now, if I remember this correctly, Haikuporter And I want to do a spell, I think. Command not HaikuOper. No, Haikuporter. No, oh yeah. One thing I not do is press the tab key to complete. Now, why is that not there? Why is that not HA? Is it because I need to install it over here at the, I forgot. See, I'm all ready for this. Okay. No, it couldn't be. So what's the deal? I think I have to close this terminal. I have to close, the terminal was open before I got paths, so let's do that. What are you doing? And yes, I am off topic here, but it's not going to be that way for long. Okay, HA, still not doing it? Okay, I give up. I'm not going to mess with this right now. I'm going to go back to what my topic is, and that's package source. So, I have in here, there is, because I got a lot to do. So there is a huge, these are all the different categories. And the way package source works is, if it's working well, you just change directory into the program that you actually want to use, and then you type make install. Don't do clean, because if you do clean, yes, you'll save disk space, but you won't have a binary package to share with anybody. And the whole goal is to have a binary package to share with other people. Now, converting that over to a Haiku package, I don't know how exactly that will work, but I'll explain what the content is of the zip file, and basically what that is the exact location as to where all the files should go on your hard disk, like a mirror. So you would just unzip the resulting package that you may or may not have been able to compile from package source and put it in its place, and everything should work. Should work. And it should work on other systems. So, but there'll be some, I'll have some various examples. This might be a good introduction to, as to what porting is. But again, I'm not an expert at this. I'm not a programmer. And there'll be some times I'll be doing some things that I'm not really all exactly comfortable with. Or it's not really my day-to-day thing. Programming is not my day job. Okay, so, actually before I get into this, there's a few things you want to note. So, over here in the home directory, there's this, oh, we haven't bootstrapped. So, then we gotta do that. So, I have downloaded package source. I have created the package source directory. I expanded package source repository. Now I got a bootstrap. Now, every time I've done this, it takes 2 times. So I'm expecting it not to work the first time and to work the second time. So this is how you bootstrap. Applications, terminal, and you go C. Actually, I could just do go. Ah, there I am. CD bootstrap, and I do ./bootstrap. Let it do its thing. Oh, I was supposed to do unprivileged, but since it's going to fail the first time anyway, it doesn't matter. Second time, I have to append that with 2 / unprivileged. So this will take about 5 minutes, and maybe I could figure out how to use Haikuporter. And I may have to, it may actually not be path, and that's why I was having issues. So I'm going to open up another terminal here, and let's look. Is it Haiku? Yes, there it is. There's the executable Haikuporter. I'm not going to path this. So boot home Haikuporter Haikuporter. That's the command. That is that. And then I'm going to do a spell. And we'll see how it does it. So it's going to do a similar thing to what enable to find Haikuport's conf, and then oh, I didn't change the name. That's important. So up here in Haikuports, no, sorry, in Haikuporter, right, you have to change the name from sample.conf to just .conf. So, and even though you have to move it, you still got to change the name. Okay, not much of a complaint. Got it done. So let's go back here, and up arrow repeats what you did last. Up arrow. Enter. Can't find Haiku. That's because I need to restart this thing. Okay, let's start over again. So we're able to, okay, terminal. And what's the deal? Haikuports conf. What's up with that? That's because I have to change the name in the other directory, which is in config. I should remember that. Settings, where is it? That's the one I need to change. Okay, so you're gonna. I'll have to ask for you to be patient with me if I make mistakes sometimes. Okay, now we'll do it. So what it's going to try to do is first it's going to populate the repository. And here's my expected error in bootstrapping, which doesn't matter to me. Do it again. Up arrow 2- unprivileged. Oh, and I also have to delete the contents of the work directory. Now, the thing is about Haikuporter is that if it works, right, with Haikuporter, that means someone's already done the work for, someone's already ported it over. So another reason why I'm using Pkgsrc is because I want to do new things, and I want it to be relatively easy for me to at least attempt to do those new things. Okay, so now Bootstrap unprivileged, and that'll work. If it doesn't, I'll just hide the camera from. Okay, so I'm doing two things right now. I got to realize that this stuff with Haikuporter you don't have to do. So the steps for if you're doing Pkgsrc. So for Pkgsrc. Step, you have to download the NetBSD. You don't really have to customize your bash terminal, but it's nice, right? It makes it easier. I can just type go, and all of a sudden I'm in the directory I want to be in. Make a directory in home called Pkgsrc, and then I unzip the archive I just downloaded inside of Pkgsrc. The result is I got boot home Pkgsrc. Then I get a Bootstrap, and you got to do it twice. So first time it will always fail, and the second time, go ahead and do it unprivileged. That's the way it works. Once it bootstraps, then there's some settings to go ahead and change. So that's the way that is. I actually made a shell script. And shell scripts do work in Haiku, and maybe I'll make available somehow. Okay, so what controls the behavior of Pkgsrc is very complicated. Let's see how it does with this with aspell. Now aspell is a small program, so it probably will do all right. The larger programs like Python will not do okay. The smaller ones probably will, because they really don't need a lot of hacks or changes. This is going to work just like Pkgsrc. It's downloading the source code. It does a checksum of the source code to make sure it hasn't been altered for the version that was released. It applies patches and then attempts to compile. This I expect will work. I don't expect that. I know Python won't work, or it didn't work last time I tried. So all these little .of, this is something compiling right now. I think. So I don't know how far this is going to get, because now it's starting to get lib tool. Now when there's a bootstrap, that means it's not really using its own stuff. Now down here, it's done, pretty much. I'm just going to put the man pages for package source in. This is package source. That's Haikuporter. It's going to try to make the bmake program here. All right, so with Haikuporter, the job should theoretically be done. So this is it's almost like it is a way to be certain that no one's tampered with your software, but it's a lot longer of a process. I would never use package source or Haikuporter on a day-to-day basis to set up a system or to install packages myself. It just takes too long. The risk of your software being tampered with between the time it was released as source and going up at some organization's servers is not worth the time. And we're still going for both of these. Both of these are doing checking. They're both configuring stuff. This is actually, I believe it's compiling here. So it goes back and forth. They're both doing the same kind of stuff. Okay, so the reason why I'm not excited about Haikuporter is because I don't know how to port things. I don't know how to patch. But I know how to change files just a little bit, and I know I can get lucky sometimes, and I know I can compile things sometimes. And so if I'm going to go through the pain of downloading files and or the slow process of downloading files and seeing whether they're going to compile or not, I want to be doing it for more than just me. I want to be doing it so other people will have new programs to run. Now, bmake is now installed. Bmake is the Berkeley version of make. Now, it looks like this A-spell is going okay over here at Haikuports. Python has some issues. At least the last time I tried, Python did have issues. And I wish this didn't take so long. Alright, so maybe I just do an overview. I've got so many things to talk about. Maybe let's do an overview of the path I'm going to take. And when you're a lot of these open source packages, of course, this is source code, open source code. Oh, okay, so here's the result for Haikuporter. Which is kind of the problem I have with Haikuporter, I guess. I guess I'll just go into this right now. Okay, so the problem I have with Haikuporter is it doesn't really tell me too much about why it failed, and I'll be able to actually show more detail when something fails when I get there. But the second thing is if this is a recipe that works, it should still work. Yeah, maybe I just misunderstand this. Maybe the patches they have up at Haikuports are just attempts to patch it, and perhaps I do the same thing in Haikuporter, right? That I'm trying to do over here in package source. Maybe A-spell hasn't compiled before. But if I were to go into Haiku Depot, I'll be able to tell you whether it actually is installed before or compiled. Also here under options, pick the develop packages too. Okay, so yeah, right. So this was I guess was a port attempt. That's what isn't clear. This was an attempt to port. But right now, oh my god. There's a program called faked gettext that not the real gettext that needs something else that is okay. I'm gonna cough once in a while because I have asthma. All right, so over here, we're still compiling, so it takes a while. The unzipping. I mean, this is not. This whole practice is not like, oh, I'm not here to say that this is the quickest way to get your apps installed in Haiku. This is not what this is about. What this is about is to go through all the hard steps to get you to a point where you understand how hard it could still be, and additionally, to have the opportunity to be in an environment where you can compile things that are new to Haiku. And I encourage you, if you get that far, to make notes of what you did to get it to go. And it gets tedious, so don't get overwhelmed. Don't try to move too fast. My god, it is still compiling. Alright, so let's go over the path I'm going to take, because oh yeah, I'll just talk about a few things. I've already talked about the Intel Pro. Use that. You need 2 gigs. I already went over that. Now, multimedia playback's choppy. Sometimes I like to listen to baseball games in the background, and it's just not. I don't know. Should I go in? People don't believe it when people report these bugs, but I guess okay. So the Bootstrap's actually ended. I don't know. Yeah, might as well. So let's go over here and let's go. This is something I like to listen to in the background once in a while. This is YouTube. Now the good news about YouTube, I don't have Nash installed in here, and the good news about YouTube is that if you don't have Flash, then they'll just use HTML4, and WebPositive can handle that, I think. The only problem is that I just don't, for some reason, there's no search box up here, so I actually have to go over here. I don't know why that isn't there. Just to demonstrate, like, how it goes. You know, what is it choppy? Is it not choppy?
History may be something of the past, but it can only be made in the present.
And it's not because I'm in VirtualBox, because I do the same thing in Windows and I don't have that problem. And we're going to grinding. Oh, why is this taking so much? Oh my god. See, it's just so, this isn't even worth it. I mean, it's choppy, you saw that. So, okay, so we're bootstrapped. Now, let's go down the roadmap I'm going to do. Which is somewhere in this pile of crap here. Alright, so I'll start with bzip 2. Now the first issue that manifests itself is that, and even if you have bzip 2 on here, you need these dependencies in the change root environment for the most part to be able to build the apps you want to use. So you can't just compile Firefox, you need a bunch of stuff before you can even do that. Now, the B file system, I don't know if this is what I think this is what the specs actually are. Does not allow for hard links. So if a program requires hard links, that's something that needs to be changed in the source code for it to run in Haiku as it is now. I don't think that the developers of any of the programs that have hard links in their source code, if there is, are going to change it just for us. So we might want to fix that, but it seems like the attitude of the developers has been that everybody else needs to change the source code because we're perfect. So I don't understand that, but anyway, when it comes down to it, one practical problem that you might have if you don't watch this video, or if you don't figure it out yourself, because I don't see a lot of writing about it out there on the web, is that you do have to change the make file for bzip2. And I'll use bzip2 as a starting point to show you how things work. I'll let it fail the first time. And I know it's going to fail the first time, but I'll use that to be able to demonstrate what happens in the stages when package source runs. So here is archivers, right? And there's bzip2. Now the way it looks like right now is you got a folder. It's just got CVS with 4 files in it, files with looks like some headers or something, and some of these things: build link, description, make file, plist, and all that stuff. Okay, so as we go through these different things, we're going to actually end up editing a lot of these files. I'm thinking that I'm going to... No, I don't need to stop here. I'll just stop when I get tired. So when I stop making sense and I start... my eyes look heavy and my tongue slips, I may just suddenly stop and then I'll continue the next day. So I'm just going to keep going. Alright, so let's take a look at this. Now this DESCR file basically says, this is what this program does. I don't know who Julian Seward is. I'm not concerned about it. Basically, it is it zips files up. Okay. The description files will still basically tell you what it does. These two are technical. Eventually, I'm going to learn how to edit these things and do some really cool shit. But for now, I can't, or I don't know how to. So, or I may not even have to edit those things, depending. Next, we have what's called the make file, and this is the file that has the hard links embedded in it. So your bzip2 compilation will fail if you do not do the following. You need to go down here, and you just put in a... if it says read only, click that to unlock the file to make it non-read only, so it doesn't work the way it does in Linux. You don't have to... You can actually change a file from read-only to non-read-only inside your editing tools. And just going by what my notes are, you add an S before that. Now this ln here happens to be the ln minus f is the command for making a hard link. So what happens is bzip will compile just fine, but then when it tries to install, because of the presence of this particular make file, it'll fail. In fact, why don't I do that to start with? So you can see that changes to the source code actually make a difference. Then I'll change that. So let's save that. Might as well close it. So to use this, I'll back out. I'll change directories into archivers. And then I will change directories into bzip2. Now, remember the alias that I made? I made 2 aliases. The first alias that I made, if I type bmake, which is, to explain it, you have to use bmake. there's a technical reason, but you have to use bmake for the most part. At the end of the day, if you want the package to register in package source, you have to use bmake. Using make is one way to kind of kickstart things. Make comes with Haiku natively, and bmake is Berkeley's version of make. And when you bootstrap, that gets compiled in your system, and then Pkgsrc wants you to use bmake. I made an alias. I mean, I haven't really pathed the bmake, I just made an alias. So when I type bmake, the equivalent of boot home package bin bmake will be typed here in the terminal. Bmake is able to accept arguments, and one of the arguments it's able to accept is install. Bmake space install. Note, I'm not doing bmake install clean because then I won't have a package left over. So I'm going to do this for the first time. I'm going to let it fail. So let's do the the other alias I made was do. So do, if I type do, it'll do the equivalent of bmake install. So do not a directory. Change directory. Do I have? Oh, I had to change. I got my alias wrong. Oh, all the things can go wrong. Okay, so boot home. It's in my profile here, but at least you know how to change it. So let's open this with style edit, and do actually just should not include change directory. It just be a command. Boot home package bin bmake with the argument install. Boot home package bin bmake. File save. And I may have to, yes, I will have to restart the terminal because it won't really load. So applications, go to terminal. So I'm going to go. Then I'm going to go to archive and bzip. And I'm going to do. Now it's going to download the source code. It's going to verify the hash signature of the source to make sure it's still real. And then it's going to bootstrap and put all these hacks and tools and things that Pkgsrc is able to actually do into the compile chain, which does add some time with it, but eventually it starts to do the configure command. And that'll work. No problem. It'll even compile without a problem, but it won't be able to install. So now it's compiling. And now it's going to unwrap the files to be installed. It's going to make man pages, which actually HaikuOS doesn't really have man pages, but hey. Well, it goes in a different place, actually. So I still am going to make the man pages. Now, libtool happens to be a dependency of the bzip2 requires. So now it's going to download libtool, unzip it, attempt to patch it, and now let's go and look and see what's going on over here. So in Pkgsrc, if I go into the archivers directory, go into bzip2, now there's a folder called work that wasn't there before. It hasn't really done anything except for edit the make file. Let's go over to libtool. I'm sure that I think it's probably under develop. Now it's a lot easier to work with Pkgsrc when you got a graphical user interface. That's a special message for the NetBSD people. They've made a beautiful way to actually do stuff. What are we actually, okay, NB compat is what we're doing here. NB patch. So I really want to show what's going on here. So it's doing NB patch, and then it's going to do live tool base. Let's go to NB patch, which is there it is, which is a dependency, and that should have a work directory. There it is. And it's got all this stuff in here. It's got a build link, a test directory, and I'll go over the ones that are important. I'm also going to go over another place that's important. So, as package source gets the source code from the internet, it plonks them in here. So far it is actually downloaded live tool. Okay. Back to NB patch. So we know NB patch is actually compiled and installed. Right here in desk directory, this is where NB patch is actually going to place itself and all of its files on the system, including the man pages. Ah, there's the live NB compat right there. Okay. In NB patch, there's all this stuff here. Maybe that was already there. Live NB compat. And there's all the code for that. Eventually, it makes something called packages. So this has actually been compiled and created today. It makes a target zip file. If I open it up with Expander and I show the contents, that's actually a package ready to be delivered, and it would want to put NB patch in the bin directory, and NB patch man page in man. 1. There it is. So you see how that works? So it does a lot of things really quickly. Download the source code. It applies any patches if you have them. It attempts to compile. Downloads any dependencies, so I didn't need to go fishing around for any of those things. Places all the source code in a place where I know where to find it. If it makes a package, it places it where I know I'll be able to find it. It places a backup copy in desk directory, and then it installs and registers the package inside my system with its package manager. Now here it is. Here's bzip 2, and it says the operation is not supported. Creating hard link. Okay, so let's take care of this. Let's go back. So a lot of things have happened in this short amount of time that I've talked here, but here we are. Go back to archivers. And going down here to bzip 2. Now I get a work file. Now, what ends up happening is the package doesn't really, it compiles actually in this folder here. For the most part. Now in this case, the error happens to be with this make file, calling for hard links. So I'm going to change this from read-only to non. I'm going to only go to files, to the lines, there are only 2 of them that have ln-f, and I'm going to put ln-sf. And I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to go back to my terminal, and I'm just basically going to hit the up arrow and redo the make install clean. It's going to check for everything. It knows it's been compiled. Now it's going to try to make the man pages and install. There it is. So now it's installed. So now you see that was obstacle number 1. We got around it. It was a hard link. Now that was one problem that was created by using package source. So if you don't know about hard links, you could sit here for hours trying to figure out what the hell happened. Okay, so I'm here to tell you that's what's one thing. If you see something that says cannot do hard links, that's your answer. Okay, so that's number one. We've got past that on my little agenda here. Now I'm going to do xproto. And xproto is interesting because xproto, the only reason that it will not compile is because the Haiku operating system uses a function called bits, and it does not use FDS underscore bits. Okay. And for that reason, the compile will fail. And then I'll go in and I'll change the appropriate file, reattempt the compilation, and it will succeed. So let's do xproto. Xproto happens to be in the x11 subdirectory. So I'm going to go cd ... cd ... I probably should make a little, thing for that, but if I have too many aliases, it gets dangerous. Then I go cd x11 cd xproto. Now xproto happens to be happens to be one of the dependencies for Wine and a lot of the x11 apps. All right, so let's do. Which, if I didn't explain this before, that's the equivalent of bmake install. Now I know this is going to fail, so here it is, downloading, and I know what to do to fix the fail. Now if it has any dependencies in the meantime, it's going to go ahead and download and take care of those for me. I don't need to worry about those. So let's go over here, and if I'm interested to see what is already installed, it's not a lot. I type package info because I have made an alias for package info, and this is what I have. I just have mbpatch, libtool, bzip, bmake, bootstrap, and package install. Not a huge collection of applications at this stage. Now, and I probably should try a spell, but okay, so here it's going to say, could not determine how the process FD bits or equivalent structure the FD set of your platform. Now, there is something called build link that you can add to, I haven't figured out how to get it to ignore the fact that FD bits is not supported. But there are two cases where I do know how to get package source to pass along. If there's an error, ignore it. And it's different than using the bmake -i install command. -i means ignore any errors. But I'm going to show that also tonight when I get to it. But for now, I'm going to go through the process of what has to be done initially before a patch is made, what a patch actually does, but I can't say, I don't know enough to actually say, well, this is how you apply a patch. And then, so things will become clearer as to what's going on. Okay. So we know what this FDS bits and FD set is. There's some function calls that are related to x11. Now what's happening here is there's a function called configure that's checking to see whether the operating system has the ability to handle X windows of some sort, not just x11, any kind of X window. But it doesn't, the configure program doesn't really know that there's something called bits that exists. It just knows, it only knows about FD set. So, FD set and FD bits. It doesn't know just about just bits. So it errors here. So we got to educate it. So let's go to, where are we at? We're at x11 xproto. Xproto, go to the work, and now let's pay attention to this. This is the difference between Haikuporter and this. Now, in this case, I know by looking at this, it's checking for certain things that are available in the system. This has something to do with the configure file. Now, normally in the old days, back in the old days where they had Pkgsrc, well, the first thing you would do is type a dot / and configure, and it would go through this process, and then would create a make file, and then you can type make and compile so configure creates a make file appropriate for your platform, and then you can compile. In this case, we haven't got to make yet, so it's the configure file, right? So let's go here into the work and find, there is, okay, so it went to, first of all, I worked through, got to xproto, went to the work file. This is all the stuff that Pkgsrc creates, but this is actually the source code for xproto. Here, let's take a look, and it may not just be, there's all these variations for configure, but I think it's probably going to be this one. Now, the first time you open some of these programs, if it's got this little 3-colored thing, it means if you double click on it, it's going to try to run. So you won't be able to see it attempt to compile and fail. That's not what we want. But what we do want to do is open it up with file types. I'm going to select text as our file type, because that's actually text. And we're going to just say it's source code. Why not? Say we're done and do that. There's no real apply. And now right click and open it with PE and or style edit. Now, both of these have their strengths and weaknesses. PE, if this thing right there is crossed out, that means it's read only. Okay, so here in the xproto, I need to go down to line 11,352. And you can see there's 11,346. And here's Ming W. So I have to type the word haiku. Put an asterisk there. And then a pipe. Make sure there's a space between those things. And what this function says is if it doesn't need FD bits, no, it says if it's this miniature GNU that runs in Windows or Haiku, then don't check for FD bits and move on. Alright, so let's save that. Now, here's the thing. If I were to type bmake clean, everything I did would just disappear. I don't want to do that. I want to start, and the good thing about make is it'll pick up where it left off. So let's go down. Now the make file has not really been created. So make install, do is the make install. It's going to do that. Now it should be able to get past this first error. I'm going to see if there are any other errors, because it wasn't. When we get to gettext, it's going to be a real battle. But I just want to make sure there wasn't anything else that I had to do here. Nope. Don't think so. Now, I got this hint directly from Haikuporter. So when someone went and tried to make a patch for this, oh yeah, I'll go with this. So this here is a patch from Haikuporter. Maybe for a different version of, yeah, it's for xproto 7.0.16. I got 26 there. And it's got that same, here's the FD bits found equals x false, and you know, this stuff down here, but basically, it does this other stuff. But it defines some things. Well, whatever. It's compiled, it worked, there it is, it's installed. Let's go to package info and see how we're doing now. There's xproto. Right there, and if I go and look in my packages folder, that's where your gems are. See? So if someone wanted to install xproto, this is the binary file that I would deliver. Actually, just double click on it. Show the contents. See all this stuff here. This is everything that was installed. Bunch of header files, some XML files, but there they are. Okay. So if I wanted to deliver that package, I could. I don't think xproto is inside of Haiku Depot now. I'm not going to try Haikuporter at this stage. Okay, let's get to gettext, because that is a real pain. Now, I'm going to show you a trick. The version of gettext that is in here, now at least with this configuration, and I'm not going to waste time seeing that if some of the overrides that I've since discovered when I first did gettext work, will work. Instead, I am just going to do what worked for me. So the version of gettext that's actually in here, gettext is under devel. There's so many packages in here. Okay, yeah, so this is going to be important. Gettext is under devel. And this makefile common, I will open up with style edit, has a version right here. It says it wants to use 0.18.3.2. Well, that's not going to compile. Instead, I'm going to change this to 18.1. I'm going to make this unlocked. All right, so now I'm going to have some problems. Remember how I was saying that when it downloads the source code, it's going to do a signature hash and see whether it's been altered. Well, Pkgsrc right now has a signature hash for gettext 18.3.2, not 18.1. So when it checks for that, it'll say, "Oh, sorry, this has been tampered with. We're not going to compile." It'll stop. The next thing that will happen is that there actually are patches that other operating systems that Pkgsrc uses are going to try to apply, and of course, since the files aren't exactly the same, the patches will fail. So there's two things we got to do. First, we got to rename the patches folder to something other than patches, something other than patches. And then we need to go over to our config folder, edit this sucker, which we have not done yet. This is the file that controls the behavior. We're going to be adding things to this a lot over time. This is created when you bootstrap. And what we're going to end up adding in this case for this is something I don't remember the exact incantation for, and I need to find my cheat sheet, otherwise I'll be babbling a lot. So let's look. Where are we? Where to go? Check it on the floor. Nope. Yeah, my notes are disgustingly messy. What do I have over here? We're bootstrapped, so it goes on the floor. Not that, not that. Some of these are going to be really ugly hacks. Ah, here it is. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to say no checksum equals yes. Seems like backwards logic, but that's the way it works. So no underscore checksum equals yes. Now there are a lot of other settings that the guy that originally ported Pkgsrc to Haiku has done, and I haven't added everything yet because I kind of want people to see what these things actually do and understand them as I go. So I've done that. I'm going to save this. I'm also going to look at my little cheat sheet there. Okay, let's close that. That was the make file comment. I've changed the version I'm going to use. Let me get the, what is this? This is gettext, right? I have so many notes. Ridiculous. If I ever refine this, gettext is very important. It's fundamental to getting something like links to run. Way too many notes here. I actually just had that, so it must be buried at the bottom here. Alright, let's just type make install. Let's go. Oh, do not go. CD. Oh, because I need to get over to gettext, right? Devel text and do. Okay, so it's going to download the source code, all that good stuff. Meanwhile, I'm going to look for my notes because I may have something I actually need to do. Actually, I put this up here. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of changes. Gettext is a tough one. I'm not sure if this is a newer version or the same version of what Haikuporter has or Depot actually has. So, step one, change the version. See, now it's downloading gettext 0.18.1. And it's going to try to do 4 different parts to gettext and gettext. The result is there's going to be one file that we're going to have to do twice. The same exact change. So here's gettext tools, M4, live, and AsprintF. All of those are going to end up being compiled when we are done with this little exercise here. So, now, there's something else that I needed to do. Right now, it's trying to install where it's got this desk directory. That means it's trying to install. And basically, because I'm using a different version number of gettext, it thinks different files need to install. So I actually need to go in here, and I'm actually doing the M4. And what I need to do is go to this plist file. And what I need to do is look for the line that says share a local extern inline M4. Right there. Delete that sucker. Of course, I need to make this actually not read only. And there may be more things that are just like that. Yes, I want to save. Okay, let's try this again. See, and it's telling me, we don't have that file. But see, the reason why it's even coming up is because it's on the list in the first place. And that doesn't come with the version of gettext that I'm using. So let's do it again. The next change that we're going to need to make, and we're going to need to do this twice. There, finished installing that one. Is there is a file called 2pipe.c, and and you basically need to add two different definitions, and I'll show you how to do that, but I don't know what they mean. I really don't know what they mean. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. So, but this happens to work, so there we are. Now, also the ugliest thing I had to do with this whole thing is I actually had to make some files and folders because I got lazy and I didn't want to actually edit the plist file for some of these gettext because they were just huge. So it's going to do its toolchain wrappers and all that stuff. And maybe I could keep this configuration file set aside because that's going to be important. Package list, we'll see how far we get with that. I'll talk about build links eventually. I'm going to talk about some really ugly hacks that are going to come up. So if you want to stick around, there'll be some fun stuff to follow. Python's completely broken. I can't even get it to work. It's just toast. I'm just checking stuff on the floor that are in the way. Perl though. Alright, so things that did not work were Perl and OpenSSL. You say, well, those are showstoppers. You're damn right they are. But I have all sorts of complaints for those failures. So, stick around. Alright, still compiling, which could take a while. One of these is going to fail out with a bunch of missing files. And it's going so fast that I just can't keep up with this plist thing here. Let's see. I think gettext M4 is done. We are on. It's doing Pax, so Pax will install without a problem. So I am in. Let's see. Do I have a package here? Yeah, package for gettext. M4. Do I have a package for? No, I don't have one for the gettext lib. Gettext tools. Do not have one yet. I don't want to have one yet for AsprintF. And gettext, I couldn't have one yet because it likes to wait till most of those are done. Alright, so now I'm going to go over actually some stuff that's on this configuration file that turned out to be very helpful. First of all, I was able to I've looked for just about every post that the guy that, I should probably mention him by name because he deserves that. The guy ported over package source to Haiku. I've looked for just about every discussion the guy had. So, and I found a couple tricks, and there's something called build link that sounds really exciting to me. But here's a sample of the way he has his package source configuration file turn up at the end. I guess it was hard to find when I searched for it, but if you type capital H haiku.make, comma v space 1.13, it'll probably come up for you. Okay, a couple interesting entries here. He actually does not have a build link entry in here, and I've been doing some experimenting, so I may actually have figured something out that maybe some people don't even realize exists. So we'll see what happens. So on mine, as it eventually becomes, I add this thing called build link transform RM. This one with the FD bits, I was experimenting. I still don't know if that worked, but I am going to try it. Maybe. I uninstalled xproto and tried to see if it would reinstall, but evidently I deleted some things. So here comes gettext lib. to finished. Let's see where we are with package info, because this is going awfully fast. Okay, so I got gettext M4 installed, and some other stuff, packs, whatever. But this build link transform, when I put this in the make.conf file with the -lm and the -lp thread, it overcomes the fact that, let me explain what this is. LM is the math library, otherwise known as libm, and there's a webpage over at haiku.org or maybe Haikuports that goes into some of the common problems that people have. And I'm actually going to show that this works on this video if I get far enough tonight. SSL is an ugly hack. Okay, so because it won't compile natively, and I think I know why. I think it's because we don't have read access to this. I'm going to see if I can do that again. Write access to that. Because I need a user local. What's going on here? See, you can't even write it. So I don't know what happened that last time, but it's gone. There is no user folder, and it will never arrive. So any program that has that hard-coded, there's no temp folder. There are some... Basically, what Haiku needs to do is allow for, if they don't want people to actually read to those directories, to make a full fake ability to have a temp directory, to have a user local directory, or things are just not going to work. It's not a problem so far, but you'll see as I go on that it will be. So let's go down my map here. How far did I get? So I got bzip, xproto, gettext I'm working on. Now Perl works very nice. It works almost perfectly, and the only thing you have to do is move a file. So now we've got gettext. Looks like it's going to try to install. This is the second gettext. And now it's going on to, it's getting n curses now. So I'll eventually get to Perl. The thing about compiling is it takes a long time, and that's why I'm saying the only reason why you would do it at all is so you can make packages for other people to use, because it's no good for you to have it if someone else or if no one else has made the compiled pack available. But that's more reason, because it's so hard to compile things, to make the packages that you've created actually available to other people. So now it's still doing n curses, toolchain wrappers, and all this other stuff. I'm going to wait until I get an actual error before I add options to the make.conf file here. And then move on to that. Now, just to give you an idea. Oh yeah, so I've been compiling KDE this whole time on NetBSD. And wow. So that has, where am I? Alright, so I have a full installation of KDE 3 and NetBSD, and all I had to do was, I only had one error, and it wasn't really an error. It was just saying, do you want to use the license for lame? Alright, so let's just show it works. There's X, and start KDE. And there we go. So I didn't have to do much, and I got a full install here. I mean, you know, I have to do something with the I mean, wouldn't that be nice to be able to basically, as a developer, to be able to go and change directories to a meta package director type, make install. And you'll be able to make a binary file for everybody. And that's the goal. That, to me, that's the goal. It's not the goal to have, you know, to keep track of patches religiously, but to have the patches integrated into a system that'll be able to keep it, and also to figure out ways to not have to patch. And there's a few cases where I found that I was able to do that. So here I have freshly, you know, okay, I might as well try to compile Firefox, because, you know, so KDE took a day to compile. This is the meta package, so this is how many packages I actually have. All right, and that was with actually it took less than a day. In fact, it stopped with that error overnight. So, and I was messing around, I was doing other things, and I didn't get back to it for a while. So it didn't take that long. I mean, that's not bad. And to know it's been, the source code has been checked against a hash, to know, I have no doubt. Well, I couldn't say I have no doubt. I mean, unless, you know, if the source code had been compromised prior to the hash being applied. Anyway, it's a very good chance that this is not compromised. Okay, so let's open the terminal here, because now I can do it from the terminal. And let's go do cd package. See, now I can do. Oh yeah, and netbsd is in the user directory. Why do my caps keep running on? And let's go to world. Why does the caps keep coming on? Because I have a new keyboard. That's why. Firefox, and yeah, why not? So make install. And because mouse integration is not in there, I gotta do that ugly thing. Let's see what's going on over here. I'm thinking that eventually it's gonna say, hey, these files are missing before you can install. Meanwhile, over here in Firefox land, it's trying to download. Sometimes it has problems downloading because other people are downloading the source code, basically. So there's incurses. Let's see where we at here. I should be clear so I can see how this set of packages are growing over time. Not that much. And incurses actually hadn't registered yet, but it will. Once this automatic package handling, page handling, or whatever stops, installing binary package incurses, blah blah blah. Now I think I'm having this issue over here because I don't think I've set up IPv6. Okay, so now we're in gettext tools, and we still haven't gotten to the first error that's going to take place. But when we get there, I'll deal with it. Now, different errors take place with different versions of source code. So this is an exact version. This is gettext tools 0.18.1. This is after I've modified the makefile common to say that that's the one I want to use. This is after I renamed the patches folder. This thing's still taking a while, but it's best if I don't watch NetBSD because it'll drive me crazy. Alright, so Perl, I'm really looking forward to doing that because it works for. In fact, I don't have to wait. So let's go ahead and do Perl. Applications terminal, or do I? If they have the same dependency, yeah, you know what? I think I'll wait. It could cause problems if they have the same dependency because they'll both. Because then, if it's not installed, okay, so over here, actually, ncurses should now show up. There it is. I don't know if Perl needs gettext, and gettext is not done yet. And I probably really should look at the plist. What do I have? So, oh, gettext lib is installed. What was the other one? I think it's the tools that has a problem. And the problem is I don't remember exactly what was missing. So it can get tedious. Okay, so in each one of these now I have, you know, a zip file that if I were to put them in the right place on my system, I got an app that works. Problem is when I'm looking at the packages that are there, I mean, I don't know. Have they done ncurses over at Haiku Depot? Yeah, so they've done ncurses, so that's nothing new. But I'm going to need all these things to build new things. And I'm going to take us through to links and mut. How about packs? Okay, so they haven't done packs. I wonder if they've done bzip 2. They have done bzip 2. Now, you can also tell what version. 1.063. Probably the same. Yeah, 1.06. Same version. Ncurse. Now, why can't I use... Package source works in its own change root area. So it's self-sustaining, self-containing. But it knows how your file system's laid out. So when we opened up the packages that resulted, you know, we could see that it was designed to eventually install these files in boot home instead of somewhere else. Actually, let me make sure about that, actually. That would be ugly. Now see how it just wants to go to a lib directory in the base. Now, Haiku does have a lib directory, but it's over under system. Right there. So relative to boot system, that's where these unzip packages would go. But it's not in the Haiku package format. And also, package install and then you can install the binary packages another way. Alright, so we're still moving along here. Now it's checking something. What's it doing? Gettext tools. Right, so this is where I'm going to have my problem. Well, hopefully it'll get there fairly soon. Now for gettext, let's see, what do they have here? I don't know if they have all 4 gettext or they have one or what. So they have gettext Live International, which is probably, yeah, the one I have there. What version they have? Same version. Gettext, but they don't have gettext M4, and they don't have gettext tools, but I did see in there that they had, once installed, that it did have some of the same things, that it had these other packages as sub-packages. They just put it all together as one package called gettext. And in fact, I'm going to have to patch the same file twice, and so for some reason, I think Pkgsrc actually has mismarked the other packages as dependencies when they shouldn't be. So you actually end up doing this stuff twice. Where are we going? Still compiling. And I really gotta wonder how big this thing's getting. Because if it takes me, okay, so now Firefox is downloading. It takes me an actual year to upload this. This would be very fun. Am I not recording? Oh, yeah, I am. 7.9 gigabytes. Yeah, I'm recording. Alright, you know what? I'm going to stop this one and I'm going to start a new one because it could take a while to upload something that's 7 gigs.